Shalom Akim, Atisika Halal, Yahweh Hashem Yahushai, Ba'ashem Rakakodash, double honors the apostles, and elders of great mills do not rule well. And peace and salutation to the hopeful elect, across the globe. Said I go through a few scriptures. I entitled it, Don't Abuse Your Grace. Right? Because you have a lot of times, you might have spirits trying to invigorate you to do things that are not expedient. You might have certain things that you might have to do. And you might be trying to convince yourself that you already need to do it, or even doing things you're not supposed to. All these temptations just come upon brothers from time to time. And the scriptures talk about the heart being deceitful. Might be trying to, your heart might be trying to justify the actions or doing things that you're not supposed to be doing, and telling yourself, it's not by the law you're living, it's by grace, and faith. And all these things are sometimes stumbling blocks onto men, because then they go find themselves doing things they're not supposed to be doing, or not doing things they're supposed to be doing, and trying to be too lenient on themselves. Even though the scriptures talk about being over righteous, you gotta apply balance to these things. Right? And this not only goes for the law, but as for things as to a man in the truth that you're supposed to be doing. Don't always be. It's not good to be too hard on yourself, but also not good to be too easy on yourself. You gotta learn to apply that balance, which is something you just learn after time and experience. So that here. It said in Romans 6 verse 1, right? It say, what shall we say then? It says, shall we continue in sin that grace may abound? But even though you're not justified by the law, but through faith, you still have to establish the law, right? Or like I say, go have balance or discernment when it comes to doing certain things, like like cooking on the Sabbath when you have nothing to eat. You didn't get a chance to prepare, having to go to work on the Sabbath, all these different things. But you gotta apply balance. You don't just see the Sabbath day come and you have absolutely nothing to go on the road for, and you just want to go and lime and drink bar. No, you're out of time, man. You understand? You gotta establish the law. If it was something of great importance, and you can understand, but you don't just go around committing unjust things just for the sake of doing it and then watching it like something light. Guys, I often say, don't ever watch the ordinance of the Lord as something light. You understand? You're supposed to be having it in your head that the Lord is a serious man. You understand? The scriptures even talk about repaying them that hate him to their face. He's not a man to play with. So he has had to be mindful about certain things. It's good not to be over righteous, but it's also not good to be too easy on yourself. These things has been stumbling blocks in subtle ways. Right? It say, I'll read it over. It say, I'll read verse 2. It say, God forbid, how shall we that are dead to sin live any longer therein? Because if you're dead to something, you're not supposed to be doing it just for the sake of doing it. Like all these Christians just teach, because we're dead to sin now, we could just do whatever and just say by the blood and they'll be cleansed. It's not like that. Right? So there's Ecclesiasticus 5. I'll start from Ecclesiasticus 5, I'll start from 2, right? It says, fall on thine own mind and thy strength to walk in the way of thy heart. Okay, your heart will always, the scriptures say your heart is deceitful. It's always trying to convince you to do something contrary to the Lord. You always have, brothers always testify that, they always meditating some kind of foolishness. Because foolishness always going through your mind sometimes. It's not to say that you want to meditate these things, but sometimes go through your head trying to get it to error, to go off. Right? To say, verse 3, it say, and say not, who shall control me for my works? For the Lord will surely revenge thy pride. Okay, right? You're supposed to be in a humble mindset. Don't just be doing things you know that off and thinking to yourself, alright, I small thing, you know, and that grace, small thing. These things is not small thing. Right, verse 4, it says, say not, I have sinned, and what harm had happened unto me? For the Lord is long suffering, he will in no wise let thee go. And there's something men doesn't understand. If sin was completely abolished, then you wouldn't be punished for your wrongs, because there would be no wrongs. You see, because scriptures say where law is not imputed, there is no sin. So if sin was completely abolished, that would mean that you would have nothing to be punished for. So that's to show you that don't just do things and think to yourself that they don't have punishments involved. Even though the Lord will show you mercy, that doesn't mean that you wouldn't have to answer for your transgressions. And that's something you always have to keep in mind. Even David, he was shown mercy for what did he do to when he put him out to die and take his wife, but he was punished for it, right? He didn't get away from it. He was still punished for it. He was just shown mercy. But you just had to answer for your foolishness. Right? It say concerning propitiation, right? It say be not without fear to add sin to sin. And say not his mercy is great. He will be pacified for the multitude of my sins. Just like the second scripture, what you say here, say not his mercy is great. Okay, you're not supposed to be thinking to yourself, well, you know, I small thing the Lord merciful. Even though the Lord will show you mercy, do ever look at something like that as something light or something small? Because if you was to go to work and you offend your boss, you wouldn't watch it like something small. You would be worried. You know that like something might happen to you. If you was to go in some terrorist area and you offend some drug lord, you wouldn't watch that as something small. You'd think you'd put a bullet in your head. So if you're doing something that the Lord tells you not to do, and he's known as the Father of all spirits, the one that controls everything, you're not supposed to watch it as something small. You're supposed to be humble, you know. Don't watch it like, you know, it's like he have to take your pardon. You're not supposed to watch it like that. Right? And say not his mercy is great. He will be pacified for the multitude of my sin. For mercy and wrath cometh from him, and his indignation rested upon sinners. So once you're doing what is considered sin or unlawful, that is where his indignation, that is who his indignation does rest upon. So you're supposed to be trying to not do these things. Like all the scriptures say, there's Ecclesiasticus, well, Ecclesiasticus, I think it's 15:20. I think it's Ecclesiasticus 15:20. Or 15:13. Right. Ecclesiasticus 15:13 it say the Lord hated all abomination. Right? And they that fear Yahweh love it not. So you're supposed to stay away from them kind of stuff. Even though it will happen from time to time, you're not supposed to be doing it for the sake of doing it. You're supposed to try to stay away from that stuff. Right? Ecclesiasticus. Give me a second. 17. Verse somewhere in 17. 25. Right. Ecclesiasticus 17 verse 25. It says, return unto the Lord and forsake thy sins. Right? And like I say, this just doesn't also go for transgression. This goes for things that the Lord, that you know as a man of the Lord is supposed to be doing. You're supposed to be doing your videos. You're supposed to be doing particular things. You understand? All these things you're supposed to condition yourself to follow. and not depart from it. You understand? Don't just not do it, knowing that this is what the Lord actually require of you, and then want to think to yourself that, the Lord merciful, he could just be giving you a period of time to check yourself. And when that period of time pass and he realize like he being too easy on you because you're not taking it serious, then he'll jack you up. And you know how when the Lord jacking you up, how that does work. It doesn't always be a day or two. Sometimes it could last months. Sometimes it could be a lifetime. There's not something to want to put yourself through. It's always good to, use discernment and straighten yourself out through the scriptures before he had to send his left hand to straighten you out. Right? It's a return unto the Lord and forsake thy sins, right? And forsake thy sins, make thy prayer before his face and offend less. I heard a brother use the scripture, and it was a beautiful scripture. It say offend less, because that's already what you're supposed to be trying to do. Even though the scriptures say offenses must come, you're supposed to try to offend less as least as possible. Don't just do things just because, or not do things that you should be doing just because you're telling yourself the Lord is merciful. It's not about law. You still had to establish the law, but you wouldn't be able to do everything all the time. That is where the grace does come in, but it's not, as the scriptures say, to be used as a cloak of maliciousness, just to do whatever you feel like. Right? It said 26, it said, turn again to the Most High and turn away from iniquity, and he will lead thee out of darkness into the light of health. Right? And the scriptures talk about that in John also. It say, while you have the light walk in it, lest darkness fall upon you. Right? Yeah, darkness into the light of health, and hate thou abomination vehemently. I ain't sure what that would mean. I gotta look that up. Right? Vehemently. I want to look that up. There's some scriptures. There's some scriptures going through. Not to abuse your grace. The scriptures talk about when they yet had liberty, the Lord is law. That is not something you actually want to be a part of. At the time where you actually had this liberty, you're supposed to be using it to build yourself, to practice or rehearse righteousness, not just to do whatever you feel like because you're thinking to yourself, we're under grace now, so we don't have to do all this and we don't have to do all that. You understand? That when you're thinking like a nigga, we ought to actually be different than what other jakes would do. But as scripture saying, wisdom of Solomon, they are not like other men. We can't want to do like what they would do. We had to do what we had to do. Right? Anyway, Akim Shalom. Right? Karalal Yahweh Hashem Yahushai, Ba'ashem Rakah Kodash. Double honors the apostles and elders of Great Millstone rule well. And peace and salutation to the Akim around the world that pushes truth to the four corners of the earth. Alright, there's Yaraba from Trinidad East, from the GMS Trinidad East Camp saying Shalom.